This is what you'll see as you log in. There's information about community members, including a spot for brief audios we'll add, and information about the problems that we're working on as a team. Members can go to focus on either the community or the problems. Let's start with the community. One path to that is the Members tab. Here we have a list of the members. By clicking on a member, you can see their profile. The profiles are long in order to give people an opportunity to get to know each other. And we have some ways of getting all members to fill out these lengthy and helpful profiles. We believe that members need to do more than just participate on the problems together in order to create the high-performance team we are striving for. So we ask them to interact on the site and off the site. One way of interacting on the site is to read people's profiles. To track that this is happening at least a little bit, we ask members to document that they've read some profiles using this form. Collaborating Minds knows that one of the best ways to establish relationships is to help someone else. But it's hard to help a stranger because you don't know what they are working on or what they need help with. We have two mechanisms to overcome this barrier. First, we ask people to post what they're working on, outside of their work connected with Collaborating Minds, and that is entered into their profile and shows up here. We also ask them to feel free to ask for help, and requests for help show up here. If you can help a fellow member, just go to their request for help and click on it and add your response in the comments section. We also have community groups that community members can participate in. At the moment, everyone is in the water cooler because we believe that the water cooler or coffee bar, where lots of work really happens, should be accessible from the workplace. Members who want to can create their own community groups, which can have group blogs, forums, polls, scheduled events, and other typical online group activities. Resources is a place for sharing books, articles, or other media that a member believes his colleagues might find valuable. We have great thinkers, relationship builders, and community builders on this site, and we want to make it easy for them to share what they know and what they've learned. The site also has a points and badges system that recognizes participation. All of the points are given for community-related activities, like asking for help, providing help, contacting other members. Let's turn now to group problem solving. The structured problem-solving system is easily accessed through the Our Problems tab. We can take a look at a problem in the initial round of problem-solving process. Most of our problems follow a structure that involves multiple rounds of problem-solving. We also have a simpler structure that we use for other problems. When you get to the home page of a problem in round 1, you have two main choices. You can do what we want, which is to create a first-round response, or do something else because structured thinking doesn't make sense for you right now. At each step of our structured process, we leave room for people to, quote, break glass in case of brilliant insight or need to do something different, unquote. If you take the route of doing a round 1 response, you get to a page like this. In the middle of the top, we will have a video of the client or problem owner describing the problem. Below, on the left, are the facts about the problem, which we have collected in a structured way. We have completed an initial version of, quote, what you'd like to have at the beginning of a problem, unquote, and that's what we try to collect. By clicking on the tabs, you can see the kind of data that we collect. These include things like who's affected, who are the stakeholders and what do they need to be satisfied, what the symptoms are and where they occur, how the problem looks from a systems thinking perspective, what assumptions have been made, etc. We know that this is an early effort, and we hope our presentation improves with input from the beta site members. As you flip through the data on the left, you can also begin to answer the questions on the right. In round 1, we ask you mostly to think about whether you understand the problem and about the symptoms that the problem owner has identified. We also give you the chance to ask some questions that you may have for anyone that may have. and then we ask you to let us know whether you are complete with the work that you are doing on this phase. In the second round, which we are looking at for a different problem, you'll open a second round response form. On this form, you'll be asked for ideas that occur to you in connection with the problem. For example, what analogies occur to you? Or, what additional areas should we explore? Or, are there other ways to split the problem that would make it easier to solve? Or, are there ways to address the problem at a higher level or a lower level? Or are there concept maps, images, or files that you have that relate to the problem, or anything else that you care to add? And we also ask you to talk about what your best solution might be to the problem at this point. As you work on this, you have the information that was available to you in the first round. You have the questions that people asked in the first round and the answers that were received. And you have the other reactions that people had in round one. In the third round, members will get to see the ideas submitted by their colleagues, organized by theme. You'll be asked to look at a few themes and to see the ideas and thoughts that were submitted linked to that theme. For example, linked to animals, there were a few areas of exploration, some analogies, no other splits, some concept maps, a supersystem idea, no subsystem ideas, a few images, and 2 ideas that people thought were their best solutions that they had come up with. Similarly, we can look for the barometer related tags and see what was available from that. For any ideas that are mentioned that strike your interest or to which you have a response, you can click on the kind of idea it was and respond to it. In round 4, any of the ideas that were proposed or commented on in the previous rounds are shown below, sorted by topic. Again, each member would look at a few of the topics or a few of the ideas in this round. For example, under geography, we might take a look at crop growing strategies. It appears that there were several different ideas generated from the area of exploration of crop growing strategies. The member can read about the strengths and weaknesses of the idea and can respond to the idea by clicking here. Since the door is always open for other good new ideas, perhaps a totally new idea would be stimulated by looking at this, and a member can still create an idea here. In the 5th round, the number of ideas being considered has been reduced by taking into account the comments that have been made about the strengths and weaknesses of ideas and the ratings that were offered in the previous round. In this round, the members still participating would select ideas from some of the categories to take a look at. For each of the ideas, they could take a look at them, they could learn more about them, and then they have the same options of responding to an idea or creating a new idea as in the previous round. The next step in the problem-solving process is to pull all the information we've gathered together in the in-depth summary. In this phase, the ideas that have been raised and the issues that have been raised are all converted into an issue hypothesis analysis data format. The team can look at the analyses we have for the problems, what hypotheses they are connected with, and what issues those hypotheses are connected with. They can also see the status of data analysis and can take a look at the data that has been collected. If something is missing, they can add an analysis, add an issue, or add a hypothesis. They can also check to see which hypotheses have been raised. Perhaps they are ideas originally that have been converted to hypotheses that have no related analysis with them. Figure out what we need to do and add the analysis. We also might find that there are some hypotheses that have been raised that have no issues, or some issues that have been raised that have no hypotheses. In each case, we'd want to fill in the gaps so that we have a thorough and complete and structured approach to the problem. In the final phase, conclusion generation, A team member can work with the conclusion generation dashboard to see all of the different pieces of data, information, and ways of organizing it that have been developed in the course of the work. They can take a look at a root cause analysis for the problem, which was developed out of the work that was done early on and it was revised throughout. They can take a look at the picture of the system that had been developed early on and has now been revised throughout based on the work being done. They can go back and take a look at all of the information that was generated early on through the client interview, through the questions and answers, through the early reactions to round one. They can take a look at a set of storylines that participants have put together that place the argument in some logical structure, and there may be multiple versions of this which provide different ways that people are thinking about the problem. And if they want, they can create a new storyline as well. Members can also look at a comparison grid, which compares different ideas against the requirements that were established at the beginning of the problem, understand how each one measures up against what the client said they needed. Below the comparison grid are the data for the key hypotheses, the data for other hypotheses, and the data for supersystem and subsystem ideas. On the right side of the page are blog posts, which are essentially the adding something that just doesn't fit, the place where people have been able to put their comments along the way, and where people have been able to comment on those comments as well.